Hello, hello. I'm back tonight and I'll be interviewing Michelle Claire. I'm so excited to talk to her. She's a former teacher and she's going to talk to us tonight about burnout and stress. And as a former educator, I know that she'll have a lot to share with us. She'll be hopping on in about a second if I get a chance to invite her. Hold on, I gotta put my glasses on. Hold on, here you go. So she should be on in just a second. I just invited her, so hopefully. And she's coming to us from Australia. So a long, long way.
Hi, how are you going, Anna? Good to be here. Yes, long way away. It's morning for me now.
I know. So what time is it there? What time are you?
It's nearly 10:30 in the morning.
Oh, in the morning. So you're on the 11th. You're on November 11th, and we're still on the 10th. Isn't this cool?
Yes, I'm in your future. I say that to all my American friends.
Spans days, right? It spans days. So how are you tonight then? Or
yeah,
today?
really great, really great. How about you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing really well. Yeah, I'm having a good day. We're winding down here. It's 7:30 here.
Yes.
So we're going to be winding down, but I'm so excited to talk to you, connect with you.
Me too.
Really exciting. I guess like we could just kind of start. I see we have like a few viewers, but they'll probably pop on in a little bit. And so for anybody who is just popping on or pops on later, this obviously I'll be recording it and I'll have it up on YouTube, and Michelle will have a copy, and it'll also be here. So it'll be a few different places. But so Michelle, just tell us a little bit, I guess, about yourself. Like just, a little bit about your I know, it's a loaded question.
Yeah, there's probably a fair bit to me actually, because I'm a second career teacher.
Okay.
So basically, out of school, didn't do secondary education. I went into a job. I was in the bank.
Wow.
And yes, I learned all about that. That was prior to being married. And basically did banking until I had children. And so I was cashiering and, all those sorts of things, back office. And
very different career.
Very different. And then I had a little break with children and then went back and I went into local government. So I started with cashiering with that, and then went into the administration and in the back office working with accounts receivable. So did that for 10 years.
Wow. Whoa.
Yeah, so I've got a fair bit of experience, and in that time my husband was self-employed and I was his office manager just in my spare time.
So you were quite busy. You had children, you had a husband, you were working, and then you took on like helping him, his job, his self-employment piece, right?
Yeah. So I was doing all the accounting, the paperwork and invoicing and things like that. So, but I was working part-time in local government, so it seemed to work okay.
Okay.
But then I sort of got a bee in my bonnet and didn't seem to feel overly happy where I was, people around me and my family started to go back to school and they were retraining, and at that time I was thinking, no, I couldn't do that. But I had this lifelong dream to be a teacher, even out of school, and I didn't do it. I actually, in grade 10, we have grades right through to senior school. So we call it secondary school. And so I actually did work experience at a local primary school in a grade 1 class and loved it so much. So the passion was always there. And felt like I had sort of, lost that when I didn't do it straight out of school. So, my son finished high school and he did really well, and I did help him quite a bit. And I thought, if he can do it, if he can go to uni, I can too.
Wow.
So I actually applied to university at 40.
I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to give you so much credit and applaud you just for that. And I know, you'll tell us a lot more about your life. But I did go, I'm a speech therapist by trade. So I work in a school setting, and
Yeah, we talked
right,
about that. Do you
yeah,
remember?
I went straight through. Like I went for
Yeah.
my undergrad and then right for my grad work, and then
Hmm.
and started working in a school right away. And I don't even know how I did that. And I wasn't married yet, and I didn't have
Mm,
children yet, and I was working and going to grad school and all that stuff. And I look at the moms who have gone back. I always say, I'm like the moms who've done this as a second career, and I'm in awe of like how you have children and try to go to
mm,
school at the same time alone. Those two things, nevertheless, anything else. So I'm going
yeah.
to applaud you right there. Let's celebrate you there.
Thank you.
Yay!
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Yeah.
It was hard work for sure,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah, had a passion in my belly to do it.
Good.
And my daughter was, there was a few choices. She was about 13,
Mm-hmm.
and I really didn't want her coming home from school on the bus and no one be at home. So there was other things going on. I thought if I was studying, you know, I could be there for her as well.
Yeah.
And plus she was sort of nearly self-sufficient, so I was able to study, and my work gave me 12 months study leave.
Whoa.
So
Wow.
yeah, so they were very supportive. So I did a tertiary prep. Being out of school for a really long time, I thought it'd be a really good idea.
Yeah.
And yeah, so long story short, ended up, yeah, putting my head down, loved it, became my valedictorian for that year, for that group. Um, and my son and I graduated together.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. How cool is that?
Yeah,
That's neat.
yeah.
I
And
love
he's
that.
now a teacher too. He
Oh, is
decided
it?
to do a grad study and train as a teacher too. And he's a deputy principal now. Yeah,
Wow. I was gonna ask
yeah.
what did he go into teaching what? Like, do you have to specialize
So
in?
he was in high school, so senior school, and he did a few different things as a high school teacher. He's trained in English and modern history.
Okay.
So and he did graphics and design, and
Yeah.
he's done
Well,
all sorts of things. You turn your hand at lots of things, don't you, as a
yes.
teacher?
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Mm.
And what did you graduate? What level?
So
Where?
I'm a primary teacher.
Okay.
So yeah, so totally different ends, both of us with different age groups, and yeah, I've taught all different ages, but I really love that middle years.
Oh, wow.
Did a lot of grade 5, grade 6, and
Good for you. Those are the tougher
yeah,
years.
they are.
6, 7,
Yeah,
8.
I love grade 5.
Yeah.
They're just at that point where the independence is there, and they still have a love for learning. They're not so rebellious in there,
Yeah.
oftentimes.
Yeah, they're still
And
still a little innocent jet, right?
yeah, I think so. So yeah, did a lot of grade 5s.
Wow, wow. So then, from all of this, obviously you had a lot going on, and then you started teaching, and you
Mm-hmm.
just tell us a little bit about the next chapter, which I guess takes us a little bit to the burnout and the
Yeah.
overwhelm, and yeah.
Yeah. Well, as you know, teaching is a very demanding job. And
Hmm.
in Australia, it's the same.
Same
So
everywhere.
it's the same everywhere. And it takes quite a bit to get permanency in teaching here. So,
Oh,
you're on contracts for a long time, or doing supply teaching, which is you're subbing.
okay.
And it takes a really long time. So I threw myself into it. Whatever came up, I did it. I was placed in a really, really difficult school, my first placement, and had like a mini burnout at that point. I was teaching grade 7, and it was tough, 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 with really, really lots of behaviour issues,
Yeah.
lots of learning needs. And yeah, did it for a term and said no to the extension. So I had to have a break at that point. Really started to think, is this what I want to be doing?
Yeah.
Did some supply teaching with some littlies, little preppies and grade 1s, and went, yes, this is what I want to do. This is what I love.
Yeah. Yeah.
So ended up then getting contracts and things. And in long story short, I got permanency after 4 years.
Okay.
And locally, which is nearly unheard of here, we have to do country service
Oh,
generally, and I applied not to with a family. It was very difficult to go out west and bush and do all of that, but that's what teachers have to do in Queensland, do their country
wow.
service,
That's interesting. Yeah,
and
very
it
different than
is.
here. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
different.
and my son did that, and he's still, he's 9 hours away from me, still
It
out.
took him. It took him that far, and then he stayed.
Yeah, he's hoping to get back, but yeah,
Yeah.
so he's loving what he's doing. But yeah, so I think there could have been some compromises going on then,
Mhm.
because I was throwing myself into it. It was tough, I was changing year levels and learning all the time, and probably not looking after myself very well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Didn't prioritize my own needs, because I was, my goal was get permanency. I really wanted a
Yeah.
permanent job. So
It was like sacrificing yourself for the job. Like I'm going to put
very
everything
much.
into it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very much. And yes, it took over my life.
Yeah.
And I would feel guilty if I wasn't doing work.
Yeah.
So even on the weekends, I felt guilty because I knew there was so much to do, so much planning, so much
Mm.
marking, so
Yeah.
much preparation. And yes, I would feel guilty. So I
Yeah.
would work a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think my health started to go into decline, even at that point. And so got into permanency, got my
Yeah.
classes, all of that. So that was so exciting. But stress, I didn't understand about stress, didn't
Yeah.
know how to manage it, wasn't looking
Yeah.
after myself. So
Yeah, so it's interesting. So I'm not a classroom teacher, and I always say there is a significant difference between what I do, in a school and a classroom teacher. But I feel that there is always something to do. It's kind of like your classroom is like your home, right? There's always
yeah.
something to
Oh,
do.
very
You never
much.
really leave it, right? You never
Yeah,
leave
no,
it
you
because
don't. And it's your office as well,
yeah,
because even though there's staff rooms, generally in primary schools, you don't have a private office.
right.
Your classroom is your office.
That's a good
So
point. I never thought of it
mm,
that way, but that's exactly how it goes. You're right.
yeah. So
Yeah.
it's very hard to get alone time as a teacher.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Yeah, and then people are just popping in and out anyway because they questions
They
and stuff.
do.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, they
right. Yeah,
do.
yeah,
Parents, other colleagues, all the
yeah,
things that they're asking of you,
yeah.
and it's very hard to set boundaries.
Yes, yeah. I would say so. I would say so.
Mm.
So that yearly leads to what does that burnout look like or feel like, or what are
Yeah,
some of the
well,
things that I think people I think when we spoke initially, we were talking about how we don't even really know what that is, right? We don't even
no,
realize we're burnt out or
no.
not burnt out or whatever's going on.
Yeah.
And
And
so,
that's why I ended up blogging, because as I was learning, I really wanted to share it with other teachers. I had such a passion for them to learn with me so that we could work smarter. We
yeah.
could do the job, and set the boundaries and have the self-care and all of that. And I didn't even know what self-care was.
Well,
You know,
I
I,
feel like self-care was like getting your hair done, like you go get a
yeah,
haircut. That was like the express,
that's
or
right.
maybe you got your nails done. Like that's it. That
Yeah,
was like self-care. That was the
yeah,
extent of self-care. Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I really got into the self-care, world with well-being and all of that. And I was blogging on my blog about that. And then, making some gains. But then the stress, I just don't, because I didn't understand it, didn't know how to manage it, didn't know how it was affecting me. So I'm very aware to try and let people know what stress looks like in their own body,
Mm,
because we all experience it differently, and some
yeah.
handle it better than others.
Yeah.
Um, so I talk to my clients about, what does stress look like for you, and it could be, just normal stress from day to day. It's not a bad thing. It keeps us learning, it keeps
Yeah.
us growing, it keeps us safe.
Yeah. And I think that, I think that's the difficulty, right? Because we all experience stress and there's stress every day. And some of it
Mm-hmm.
isn't, chronic and, it's just a moment or things, just regular
Yeah,
life things. But then there is that tipping point. And I think that's what
yeah,
you're kind of talking about, right? It's
yeah.
that point of like, okay, this isn't typical anymore, or my body isn't reacting typically anymore, or whatever. Right?
No, that's right. And it's recognizing that things aren't right, you
Yeah.
know. But if you can start early and go, yes, because most people know they're stressed. They're not sure why. They're not sure how it's affecting them. But if they can recognize, signals, particularly in the acute stage, which is early on, yes, maybe their blood pressure's rising. Maybe they feel heat, in their face and head, and maybe there's tension in their body. Some people feel it in their gut. Some people feel it in their shoulders and neck. Some people feel it in their chest, some in their legs and their arms. And that's all natural, because that's what the hormones are doing, the stress hormones, because it's preparing, it's all about fear. And it's the primitive part of our brain is preparing us to either fight
Yeah.
or run away.
Or
And we all
fly.
know about
Right?
the flight and fight response. Most people have heard of that. And sometimes it's freeze too. They're finding out people will
Yeah.
freeze. But it's those natural signals that are there and that are happening that can turn into a chronic state of stress, because modern stress is impacting us every day. We are feeling
Yeah.
stressed all the time.
So I find that interesting because I'm thinking, like, as you're speaking, that I know let me talk for myself here, not always
Sure.
recognizing that those symptoms as stress,
That's right.
right?
That's
You'll
right. And it
say,
can feel
oh,
different. You don't know what it looks like.
right. So like you're not even recognizing the fact that maybe you're getting flush or your neck is all tense and you're like thinking, oh, I just didn't sleep well. I got to stretch. I haven't, and we kind of poo-poo it, like meaning like we just kind of brush it aside and then we go on, right?
We
And we
do.
take,
Yeah, we
right,
push through it.
yeah. And sometimes we'll even take medication, we'll say, oh, I need a Tylenol, I have a headache, or I need,
Yeah.
right? And we don't realize that maybe that's the stress telling our bodies, right, to slow down.
And it's a lot of these unrelated things that we don't realize that it's stress affecting us. So then it could turn into more of a chronic state of stress. You then start to, like you said, you might be experiencing headaches regularly. You might actually have a lot of brain fog. You're not thinking clearly anymore. You just blah. Nothing seems, like you can really think and focus as well as you used to. Your tension in your neck and your shoulders might turn into like concrete, like rocks. Neck massage doesn't help, chiropractic doesn't help. That's a true indicator that you're experiencing chronic stress. You might start to feel really cynical about everything. Negative, cynical, you're not happy basically. And then you might even see things like gut issues. You might become very sensitive to light and sound, and you're not sleeping well. You're disrupted with your sleep. And can I say at this point, I'm not a medical doctor and I'm not a therapist, and I can't diagnose you because I'm not qualified in that, but I am qualified in modern stress, and I am qualified as a mind-body practitioner and to know the signals and to identify them. But you need to get diagnosed if you're experiencing these things.
Yeah. And I was going to say, I think also it's just life lesson. Like, you obviously experienced a lot of these symptoms, right? And then learned a lot about yourself and your body from them. And sometimes not to dismiss the medical or anything, I don't mean it that way, but just to say that like sometimes it's just even our experience is enough to want to share it with people.
Oh, look, and that's what it is, Anna. We need to be very intuitive to our own body. We need to know what our body should be like and what is not right for us. And look, if we don't recognize that, then we can't ask for help, can we? So yes, we do need to recognize these things in our own body. And it's so good. I wrote a post about the signs and symptoms of burnout because we don't understand, we don't know, and as teachers, no one teaches us that particularly teachers are very prone to burnout. I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because you don't think of it. I mean, I know I've never heard of that. Like here, like, oh, it's a high burnout rate in teachers. You
No.
know, because most of the teachers I know have been teaching for years and years and years and years, right?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
very few leave the field, right? Some will leave, you know, but not very
yeah,
few will actually leave the field. They'll
yeah.
stay in it. It's a
They
life.
stay because they love it, you know.
Yeah,
Over here, money's actually pretty good for teachers in
yeah,
Australia.
right. So I hear it depends on where you are, but yes,
Mm.
it's definitely a decent salary, and
Yeah.
I think that that's the piece, people staying in it. So just to like kind of not recap, but like if you were to give you kind of like the top few, let's say top three symptoms of burnout that you've kind of with everybody that you work with, what would be those top three that would be like, you know,
Well,
kind of
that's
like the most
difficult.
common?
That's actually difficult to
Is
say,
it
and
okay?
that's why I say know your own body.
Okay.
And you know, tension and fatigue is one of the top
Okay.
two probably,
Yeah.
and cynicism probably.
Yeah, you know, and that's kind of a rampant thing too, usually
It
in
is. It
schools.
is. I mean, there could be other factors for all of this, you
Right.
know, but I think it's really comparing it to what you should be like, you know,
Yeah.
what you know you're like. And if you're so different to how you used to be, you just cry all the time and you don't know why, you know, or you can't sleep anymore. You know, you might be in midlife, by the way, and that has, you know, an
Right.
impact on sleep as well. But you know, there's something wrong. You know, you can't shut your mind down. You can't, you know, wind down
Yeah.
and relax like you used to. Like it's on a continuum, Anna, and that's the thing. You know, it's really hard to pick because it's a little bit like being thrown in, like, you know how they say, how do you cook a lobster?
Yeah.
You put him in the water and then you slowly turn the heat up. And you do, and he doesn't know, and that's a bit sad, but that's what they do because they don't notice. And that's
Right.
what happens with us. You know, we have these symptoms, we have these niggly things that are
Yeah.
going on maybe for years, and we just don't realize that it could be all stress related.
Yeah.
And then the issue is if you get into chronic stress, and like I was, you know, years and years of chronic stress, I wasn't managing, I didn't know what to do to relax my body. It turns into chronic stress, as we said, and then there's actually a syndrome that can happen. And this is pretty new stuff.
Wow.
I learned about this a few years ago, but I've actually seen just recently someone's having a workshop on it, and it's called sympathetic dominance. And it's your sympathetic nervous system, which is our stress response, gets locked into that state. And
Yeah.
that's when you're seeing all these really, really difficult health issues that you can't seem to manage. You just, you know, like I said, massage doesn't seem to help
Yeah.
this, you know, rock in your shoulders. Or, you know, you're really experiencing a lot of gut issues. You know, you're getting food sensitivities and you just don't feel well in your stomach. You know, sleep's
Yeah.
affected, you know, fatigue, chronic
Yeah.
fatigue, you know, that you just, you know, and you're not getting enough sleep to be able to help with that. So you can get locked into this state.
Yeah. And
So
I can
you
see how
are
it's a
well and
gradual.
truly on your way to burnout, can I tell
Yeah.
you, if you're in that, seeing that.
Yeah, and I could see how it's gradual. And so then maybe you don't even remember what normal was for a while
Yeah,
until all of a sudden you're way past it. Until you're, like
yeah,
you said,
that's
like a
exactly
puddle on the
right.
floor and you're like, what is going on? Yeah,
That's
yeah. So I could
exactly
see,
right. That's exactly right. Maybe you're feeling out of control and you're not able to manage your emotions like you used to.
yeah,
And you just don't know what's going on. Your life feels chaotic and, you know, overwhelming. So, and part of the issue is, I think, you know, we are so busy. You
yeah,
know, we are overcommitted as women. You know, we feel like we need to be contributing so much, and we can, by the way, we can do all of this, but sometimes we do too much.
yeah,
So
yeah,
we need to learn how to set boundaries and
yeah,
rein it back, and if look at how you get energy,
yeah,
what drains your energy, what raises you up, and start to make some changes
yeah,
because you can't keep going like you're doing, because can I
No.
tell you, I'm evidence of that. I let it go on for
Yeah.
far too long, even though I'd started to take better care of myself, even though, I was, doing some things like massage and chiropractic and seeing physicians, seeing,
Yeah.
counselor, all the things that I was trying to do to help myself. It had just been going on for too long, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I can see how that, and I think that that is probably the issue, that it's such a long term. We don't even realize, like you said, we don't realize that it happens over the course of a lifetime, right? And then all of a sudden you're feeling all of these symptoms, and the
yeah,
doctors don't know what's the matter with you, right? There are none of these pieces. There really isn't a diagnosis per se.
no.
So with that, what are some of the things that you have found to be really beneficial, or some like maybe wisdom pieces that you can share with the audience, and on how some things that really worked for you maybe would be best, and dealing with all of this kind
Yeah,
of burnout and stress, and
yeah.
because I think um, we get stuck in it, and then we go, okay, I'm stressed, I'm burned out, right? I'm this,
Mm.
but I don't know what to do. I'm
Yeah,
lost,
that's
right?
right.
I'm lost.
So, as I said, I think I said that burnout can be on a continuum. So,
Yeah.
you might be experiencing low level burnout now. All of those things are happening to you, but it will get worse. And I
Mhm.
was evidence of that. So, I actually got to probably the most serious state of burnout that maybe is possible. And I actually had to stop working. I
Wow.
went on to medical leave. Um, and I really needed to reach out and get help. I got therapy, I worked with a doctor, and started my journey to come back. But it was a healing journey.
Yeah.
It's taken a while to do that. I had to heal my nervous system, because that's what it is. It's nervous
Yeah.
system burnout.
Yeah.
So I have a passion for people not to get to where I got to. So we want to rein it in. So I trained to be a holistic life coach and a mind body practitioner after I burnt out. So I didn't know about these things beforehand.
Okay.
So the big one is learning how to deep belly breathe. And you would
Mm.
know all about that as a
Yeah.
yoga teacher.
Yes. Yeah.
And I teach my clients how to do it, because it's a skill. And
Yeah.
when you are in a serious state of stress, oftentimes we breathe very shallowly in
Yeah.
our chest.
And
And
or
we're
even
not,
hold our breath, right? Sometimes, I mean,
we
like, you
hold,
realize
we
you're holding your
do.
breath,
That is
right?
so true. We hold our breath, because that's what we do in a state of fear,
Yeah.
don't we?
Mm-hmm.
We
Yeah.
don't realize we're in a state of fear, though. Our brain thinks we're in a state of
Yeah.
fear, but our actual consciousness doesn't realize it.
Right. 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 Yeah. Exactly.
So yes, we need to learn and retrain how to breathe. And can I
Mm.
tell you, when I started to do that, I found it nearly impossible.
Yeah.
I had to retrain myself. And the first therapist that I went to, she mostly dealt with teaching me how to breathe. And she
Mm.
said, Michelle, your signals, your system is so out of balance, and you can't even recognize your own relaxation cycle anymore.
Wow. Wow. Yeah.
And
Yes.
and I think a lot of women would relate to that, because we're go, 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 go. We're on high all the time, particularly as a teacher, as a mother. We've had kids at home with schooling,
Yeah.
and, all the pressures and stress, and our to-do list seems to be never ending. So a lot of it is the pressures we're putting on ourselves, and the expectations from the people around us, the jobs we're in.
Yeah.
So we lose a lot of the sensations. We don't know what's happening, as we said, and breathing is one of them. That it's almost like the antidote to stress,
Yeah. I mean, it
because
completely is. It
it is.
activates
It
the pancreas.
chemically
Yeah.
changes our state from the stress state to the relaxation
Yeah.
state. And you
Yeah.
would know that as a yoga teacher, and I know that as a mind body practitioner. And that's why I focus so much on breathing. And I think there's a lot of people out there, and a lot of women go, oh, yeah, yeah, I know. I know how to breathe, you know. It's
Well, we all know
funny
how to
because
breathe,
it's
but
one of the it's the only thing in our autonomic nervous system that we have control over.
yeah,
Everything else is automated. Our digestion, our reproductive, you know, the circulation, it's all automated.
yeah,
But our respiratory system is the only thing we have conscious control over.
yeah. That's
That
so
tells you a
true.
lot,
Yeah,
doesn't it?
it does. Yeah, it
That
does.
we
It does.
can learn how to manage it. And it's funny, you know, in stressful situations, what do people say to you? Just breathe. And I'm like, yes, I know, I am breathing.
And during those really difficult times, it's really difficult to take those deep breaths, right? Because you're,
It sure
it really is.
is.
And I mean, even first, I would say anybody who's even trained or who knows to go to your breath,
Yes.
it still is
Yes.
something you have to consciously really
You
work at and
do.
try
You
and
do.
right and have strategies to get you to that
Yes.
space. So yeah, it is.
And years ago, I actually was doing yoga as a teacher. And we had a yoga instructor come to our school in the afternoons once a week that we had organised. And can I tell you, I had a really hard time with
Yeah,
breathing.
yeah,
I really didn't like it. I felt it hurt my chest and it felt like I didn't know
yeah.
how to fill my whole lungs up. And this was like 3 or 4 years before I burnt out.
Yeah.
So, so
Sign
then
one. That was a signal.
it was, but I didn't realize that. I knew I needed yoga. I knew I needed to learn how to relax. But yeah, I struggled with it.
Yeah.
So learning how to do that is, I believe, is one of the big things to
Yeah.
help, because it's an easy strategy that you can use, that you can just, I say to teachers and my clients, look, go into the bathroom. You know, if that's the only space you have to get away from everyone, stop and come into your breath there and
Yeah.
do some deep breathing there and slow your exhalations so that you can get from the stress state into the relaxation very quickly, and
Mhm.
try and do it at least a few times a day, because you've got to learn how to do it, but you want to bring your system out of the stress state so it's not high, it's not on high alert all the time.
Yeah.
So
And I was going to say, as you're saying that, it's almost like not waiting until you're in high alert, like to actually do it when you think you're calm or when you think nothing's really bothering you,
yeah,
and to step
yeah,
into your breath
very
then,
much so.
right?
And can
Yeah.
I tell you though, teachers don't realize that they're on high alert all day.
Yeah, right. They don't, because that's the state they're in all day. They're
All
constantly
day.
putting out fires, and there's constantly something going
Yeah,
on.
putting out fires. They're on show, they're actors, they're, you know, run and run. Even in their breaks, they're, you know, preparing for the next session. It's really great if people are saying, no, I'm not going to do that. And some aren't, which is
Yeah,
great because they're setting boundaries. They're saying, no, I'm going to have a lunch break. I'm
yeah,
not going to work through my lunch break. I'm going to catch up with other teachers and have a chat, you know, because that's
yeah.
really helpful to bring our mind out of, you know, all
We
that busyness.
in my building, I notice a lot of people will go out for a quick walk. They'll take a
Yeah.
nice little walk outside and maybe do 2 or 3 laps around, and then
Yeah.
come back in, and just to
Yeah.
kind of get some fresh air.
That's
And if
awesome.
they go with another teacher, they're chatting about personal things. It's just a much. So I do notice
Yeah.
that that's something that seems to be very, which I'm excited, to see that,
Yeah.
obviously.
That people are pulling their power back and
Yes.
saying,
Yeah.
no, I'm not going to let it get to me.
Yeah.
And it's learning how to manage it. It's a
Yeah.
skill. Stress management is a skill.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're not taught how to manage it. Life in our current world is so overwhelming, and no one teaches us how to deal with it.
And
So
I think,
yeah, learning to breathe is my top one. And
yeah,
it took me, before I even started training, can I tell you, it probably took me maybe 8 months
yeah,
before I started to see some of my signals
yeah,
again, and I
yeah,
was able to rest more and to relax more.
yeah. And I think it's so funny because then it's also free and it's available to
It's
us all the
free.
time, and yet we still resist doing it, no
We
matter,
do
right?
resist. We do.
Yeah.
I don't know why that is. I think there's, with women particularly, I don't know if you have seen, you know, this, we feel guilty if we spend time on ourselves. I don't know whether it's because of societal expectations of women or cultural expectations, or it's just that we don't see ourselves as worthy enough to actually spend time on ourselves too, like everybody else.
I was going to say that I think it's all three of them. It's all three of them. And I also think that um, we don't see what's the word I'm looking for? Like the value in ourselves, right? The value that we need to bring to the table. We find value in doing, right? The do, and
Yeah, we
going
do.
is
We
our value,
do.
is where we put our value,
That's right.
and not
That's
in
right.
resting and, taking care of ourselves and stuff. And,
Yeah.
it's funny because I have two daughters, and um, very aware, like now, now that I've been in this and doing all this stuff about
Mm-hmm.
that, like seeing how
Mm.
I do, and now really making conscious efforts to sometimes do nothing, right?
Well,
And
yeah.
yeah, it just so that they see that I'm not
Not
um,
constantly on
yeah,
all the
because they're
time.
constantly on as well. And then when they have free time, they don't even know what to do with themselves because they're
That's
like,
right.
they feel like they need to fill it. So I see
Yeah,
that. And I think that's, as women, that's what we do. We just keep
we
filling
do.
it. Like, well, oh, if I have
We do.
5 minutes, I can put a load of laundry in.
Yeah. And
God,
that's one
God
of the
forbid you
things
sat
I
down.
tell I tell my clients, stop multitasking.
Yeah,
Stop filling in every moment with
yeah,
something.
yes,
So,
exactly.
but the second thing, the second big
Yes, yeah.
thing is learning how to manage your thinking towards stress,
Mm,
because we are creating the stress in our
mm-hmm,
minds.
mm-hmm.
And modern stress is all to do with emotional stresses,
Mm.
all the emotions that come from our dealings in our life.
Yeah, yeah,
It might be frustration, with something that's happening
yeah,
at work. It might be anger with the way someone's treated you. It might be, disgust, or it
yeah,
might, all these hard to manage emotions are creating the stress. And that's what modern stress is all about. So if we become aware of that and learn how to manage the way we think towards the situations, our responses to these
mm.
things,
Yeah,
because if you notice, some people manage stress really well,
yeah,
some people don't.
yeah.
And, if you're one of those people that recognize that you actually don't handle stress very well, and I was one of those because I was all in my head, and I was a worrier as well, and it ended up turning into anxiety and depression and,
Oh,
rumination and all of that. And can I tell you, I don't do that anymore. And it's because I've learned how to manage my thoughts and I've rewired my brain
yeah. It's
because
like,
of neuroplasticity. Our brain is capable to learn to change the way you think. And
yeah.
I love helping people with that because I was able to do it for myself.
Yeah, and firsthand that it can be done, and
It
that's
can be
really,
done.
yes, it can be done, and that's the piece.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that we don't realize how much our mind, those spinning thoughts, right? So like, say somebody just makes you angry at work, right? And then
Yeah.
so you're angry at that moment, and then an hour later you're still
You're
angry, and you're
still
still
thinking
thinking
about it.
all about it, and then 3 hours later. It's
In
gotten
bed
worse. It's
that
actually,
night.
it's actually escalated in your head.
It's
It's escalated,
escalated because
right?
you're still thinking about it. You're still going, oh, should I have said something differently? Or, oh, that wasn't fair. Or, maybe I should. And they've probably let it go. And you're still focusing on it, still has you in the stress state.
Yes, exactly. And then you're like trying to go to sleep, right? And it's still playing in your head, or like 2 o'clock. Like I always say, oh, 2 o'clock. I'll remember 2 o'clock in the morning, right? Because 2 o'clock in the morning, all of a sudden it all comes back, right? Like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
right.
You wake up to it in the
Yeah.
middle of the night and you think, oh my goodness, I'm still thinking about it. How do I let it go? So I love to teach my clients some really practical ways to manage that and yeah, to cope better.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So one is the breath, one is managing the mind, right? Is managing.
mhm.
So the one is doing like some nice, beautiful deep breathing. The second one is managing the mind. And without giving away, obviously, your program, can you even suggest something with like like a real beginner just to become
Yeah.
awareness of the
For
mind.
sure. I want to leave people with something because we're coming into a very busy time. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm quite aware, you know, I'm friends with lots of people in the US. You know, I've got, you know, other business people that I deal with. And I'm aware, you know, you're coming into Thanksgiving, you're coming into the holidays with Christmas, and the lead up can be very stressful.
Yeah.
So, one of the best things that I tell people is to journal. And the, other people will go, oh, my goodness, how do you journal? What do you say? Like, I relate to that because I remember saying to Kelsey Bentley, I said, you know, I just remember back to the days where I had my little Holly Hobby diary, and with the little gold, the little gold locker and the key, and I'd write down what I did that day, and that's all I could think of, you know,
Yeah.
with journaling. What do you write about?
I love that. That's great.
Do you relate to that, Anna?
Yes, 100%.
You're a similar generation to me.
Strawberry shortcake, holly
Yes,
holly.
Robbie Shortcake. Yeah. So, and it's guided journaling. So, what I get people to do is get themselves a really nice journal, or it doesn't have to be, you know, special, but it's lovely if you do have a lovely place to keep your thoughts, and get a nice pen and write this question down. What am I worried about today?
Oh. It's like a loaded
Now,
question.
that sounds really simple. It might sound overwhelming, but what you do is you just spend a few minutes every day and you answer that question. What's overwhelming me today, or what's worrying me today? And you just write. You just get it all out of your head. And you can go for 5 or 10 minutes if you want to.
Yeah.
Just keep writing. Holly Hobby Diary.
Oh, yeah.
I have to try harder since I did keep a diary when I know I feel guilty because I didn't write in my diary today. Oh, you've got to be consistent. And, you know, I'd be so hard on myself. But journaling is such a beautiful thing to do for yourself, to spend time in your own thoughts, because if we can understand what's worrying us, you can actually then look at it, you know, do it every day for a week, and don't say I don't have time, because it's just 5 or 10 minutes every day, and it's just so valuable. Because if you can write down everything that's worrying you in your head, it takes all that worry out of your head and get it down on paper. And it reduces the mental load that's going on, you know, the thoughts that just, the cycle that just continues to go around. Because what you'll notice is if you do that every day for a week, you'll actually see, you might see a pattern. You might see, oh, gee, I keep worrying about the same thing every day. You can look for, is it a fact? Is it true what I'm worrying about? It can actually make you think, hang on, that's a bit silly. Why am I worrying about that? You know, it can actually create a lot of enlightenment to think, well, gee, I am worried a lot, aren't I? But the more you do it, the less you have to do. Because you'll get it all out and you'll start to think, oh, this is feeling lighter. I'm not feeling so stressed. I'm not feeling so overwhelmed. It might turn into a list of things you have to do because you're worried about that, and you're worried you're going to forget something. Or it might turn into an action plan on what you're going to do to get ready for Thanksgiving or Christmas or something like that. And that's okay, because that is getting it out of your head and onto paper. And Kelsey said to me, she said, oh, that makes me think of Dumbledore in Harry Potter, where he's got his magic wand and he's taking out his thoughts and putting them out. And I thought, that's a great analogy. It's so true. We take our thoughts out, put them onto paper, and we can see them for what they are.
And it's interesting because I'm a big person who likes to journal as well, and I find too, like I call it more like when there's all different kinds that I kind of process myself through. They don't really all have names. You just kind of go on this journey. But anyway, that's kind of like a mind dump is what you're kind of talking, like where you just get everything that's kind of stuffed up there and spinning just out onto paper, right? Just out onto paper. And then
I call it a brain dump, but I don't actually really prefer the term. I like worry journaling better.
Worry journal. Oh, I like the worry. I actually like that too. It's a much more positive than dumping.
Yeah.
So the worry journal, and then like you said, it's like you're a third person, like in a story. Then you get to kind of look back and read it, and you have reactions to what you've written. And I think that's where the clarity comes, is what you're talking about, right? The clarity is like, oh, why am I worrying about that so much? That's like ridiculous. It's I've spent so much energy on that. Or, oh, that really still is bothering me, and maybe something that needs to be addressed. Or, you know, like you said, or maybe it's a list of things and you just feel better you got the list out, you know, instead of trying to keep it in your head, then you're afraid you're going to forget it. Like that kind of stuff. Yeah.
But on the flip side of that, you can acknowledge, because you might be going through some really tough times. And you can say, this is warranted. You know, I am having a tough time. It is stressful. I've got a lot on my plate at the moment. And if getting it down, you can go, yes, this is valid. You know, but seeing it on paper, you can say, okay, I'm going through this stuff at the moment. This is going to help me cope, you know, so that I'm not leaving it stuck in my mind and thinking about it at 2 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah. Exactly. And I know it's funny because I like to journal in the morning, and then I do try to journal at night a little bit to have some closure to my day, but I have a harder time at night because I'm a morning person, so I'm usually really tired at night. My brain just wants to go to not my brain, my body just wants to go to sleep. But sometimes historically in the past, like, I mean, just so that you know, in terms of like, if our audience is listening, in terms of the worrying piece, I would wake up worrying, like, you know, the alarm would go off and my brain was like spinning and I didn't even get out of bed yet. So this is like, that has since really subsided for me since I've been starting to journal. But I agree with you. It's like just that space, like to put it, and then I don't have to keep it with me. So it's really great. What a great tool.
It is a great tool, and it's just a simple question. And like you said, it depends on what you're like. It might be beneficial at night. You know, you lots of stuff have happened through the day. You just really want to get it out of your head so that you can rest.
Yeah.
And you don't have to.
You have to honor what kind of person you are, like where you would journal best, you know, and I would think too, if you're having a more difficult time sleeping, the worry journal at night might be a nice space to put it, so that even better than the morning. I think depending on who you are, I guess. I love
I would recommend you do it every day for at least a week, so 7 days when you're starting out on this, and then you might feel like things are feeling better for you, and just pick it up as needed then. You know, if you've got a lot going on in a particular week, you know, you might be journaling more often, or if things aren't quite so, you know, overwhelming for you, you know, you might only have to do it once a week.
That's that. And you know what, that takes the pressure off. I like that, because you know, I tend to journal every day, and I think people like, how, when, why, you know, but that's just, that's me, you know, that's where I've come to. It's kind of one of my boundaries, actually. It's kind of like
your non-negotiables.
It's a non-negotiable. It's like essential. Like it is a non-negotiable. My family knows, everybody knows, that's kind of like my me time, and then you know, I'm ready for everybody else. But
that's great.
So I love these strategies that you're sharing with us. These are great. These are great things. Thank you. I'm going to do
a huge help to me.
Help me recap them so that we have them kind of in order. So the first one is the deep breath, the deep breathing, right? As we were just really training ourselves to take these beautiful deep breaths to calm our nervous system down and kind of connect with our feelings and emotions and stuff like that.
And you can use that then to do a body scan even, and to really connect into what you're feeling in different parts of your body, because that can train you to start to recognize your stress and where you're holding it in your body, so that then you can then release it and do your deep breathing so you come back into relaxation.
Oh, that's beautiful. I like that. I love that a lot, actually. And I'm thinking too that that's another thing people just aren't aware of. It's not that it's your body's talking to you, but we're just not always listening. We don't even know how to listen. So I think that's the piece. All right. So we have the deep breathing. Then we had, I'm going to draw a blank in the middle one. What was the second one you said?
That's okay. Well, the second one is journaling.
Journaling.
So
journaling.
So firstly, you can tune into your body, do your deep breathing, and then start to manage your thoughts by using journaling.
In your journal. Good. Perfect.
And
I
I've got
love it.
so many other strategies to help you manage your thoughts and learn to rewire your brain.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, I love it. I love it.
yeah.
So if our audience here wants to kind of connect with you, I know we're here on Instagram right now, but tell us a little bit about what you offer. I know it sounds like you have some coaching and you have some other things that you're doing. So if you want to share a little bit and, at some point.
Sure. So if you're wanting to do some more reading, I've got quite a lot of articles on my blog at teachsmartwithme.com. So if you're a teacher and you really just want to do some reading, I've got some great stuff on self-care, well-being, stress management, even some, classroom management stuff. Like there's, quite a lot of stuff there to have a read.
Awesome.
So yeah, you can catch me there. With my coaching, I'm called michelleclarecoaching.com. So I have a website that people can go and find me and find out my coaching offers. But I'm generally around Instagram a fair bit. So I'm at Michelle Clare Coaching. And I have a wonderful, wonderful new offer where if you're thinking you're not sure about coaching, but you want to dip your toe in the water a
Oh, I just lost your volume, Michelle. Hold on. Are you there? Oh,
there
you are. I was like, wait, you disappeared.
I am. I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
My phone started ringing. How crazy is that?
I love it. I've been getting messages the whole time. I keep swiping. I'm like, no, not now, not now.
That's what happens when we use our phones for everything, hey? So I was saying to you, I have a brand new bundle that I'm offering, and it's to help people manage their stress. It's called the Back to Balance Bundle.
Ooh, cool.
And it teams up an amazing workbook that walks you through the 4 steps of learning how to manage your mind and how to manage stress through your mind and your body in a holistic way. So it's about 50 pages workbook, but there's 4 steps. And I team it up with a 50-minute one-to-one personal coaching call with me so that people can ask questions, they can get some encouragement, talk about what's happening in their lives with their stress, and put a stress plan together with me. So get the support that they need from someone that understands what they're going through. As a teacher, as a woman who's been through burnout, I think I have, pretty good understanding of what people are going through.
Yeah.
And as evidence that it is possible to heal from stress and to heal from burnout too. So.
And I think it's really an epidemic that
it is an epidemic.
It's an epidemic. So it's kind of a way of life that people just expect that this is how it's supposed to be, right? So it's really learning a new way of experiencing your life, which is a lot nicer, believe me, a lot more joyful, a lot more entertainment,
I think a lot of people don't like to talk about stress because they think it's negative or they think it's not being proactive. But I'm off the other side of the coin where I feel like we need to talk about it. We need to say, okay, I'm not managing. I need some help. What can I do? Because that can sort of shadow your whole life. If you're starting to feel very cynical and, these health issues, you're not feeling happy. You can feel stuck in the situation. And I really want to help women, get out of that stuckness. Start with their stress and then start, move on to their passions and really reconnect with what they want their life to look like.
And knowing that they have that power to do that. I think that, right, we kind of think that we have to do it a certain way or, this stress isn't going to necessarily go away. It's how we react to it and
it's how we react to it, how we handle it in our own mind and body.
Right.
And so I deal with it holistically. And so if you want, an easier way to get started, that's a really great way with the Back to Balance bundle. And it's on my link in bio, so you can click on that. I've actually just ran it and the sale finished on Monday, but I really have a heart that there's more people that need it. Yeah. And it's still on sale for $97. So, and that is one of the cheapest ways, you know, very affordable to get coaching and to learn some amazing tools that are going to help you.
That's a really good price, and just
Yeah.
the coaching alone could cost more than that. So
Yeah. So you're nearly getting the workbook for free.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm so excited that we were able to connect and that we chatted and we talked all about stress and all of the different things. It really is, you know, kind of misunderstood. And I feel like, you know, and you know, we also like, I think it's just so easy. Everybody's like, how are you today? Oh, I'm stressed.
Yeah.
Like a carrier phrase, I'm stressed.
People either say I'm busy or I'm stressed.
Yeah. And so, yeah, and it's kind of like you expect it. If somebody says, "Oh, I'm great. I'm having a great day," you're like, "Oh, what's the matter with that?" You know, right? Oh, just wait. They just must have woke up. You know, so I do think that you know, it is so important for all people to really start to look at, you know, the different levels of stress and then how that is playing into their bodies and into their lives, and then the long-term effects of it if we don't learn how to handle it in a healthy way and manage it.
I totally agree.
I
think you've summed it up really well there, Anna.
Yeah. So I encourage anybody who would like to continue to work with Michelle, they can find her at MichelleClaire.com. Coaching. MichelleClaireCoaching.com. Like all
Thank you, Anna.
And we will hopefully connect again, which will be really fun.
That.
Yes,
I would love that. Maybe I should get you on my page,
that would be fun. I'd love it.
And chat about what you do.
Yeah,
I'm sure my audience would love that.
That would be loads of fun. I would love it. And thank you so much, Michelle, coming from us from Australia. I'm loving this because I love connecting, and I love the fact that I'm connecting with people all over the world. I think it's so cool. So, and this is like, we would never have had this thought to do this. I don't know. I would never have thought to do this, like, if it wasn't for the last 2 years. I would never really even considered this. So I'm really I just think it's fun to connect.
Yeah, well, with this and Zoom, and there's so ways that we can keep connected, isn't there?
Yes, exactly. Awesome. Well, Michelle, have a beautiful day. Enjoy the rest of your day over there in Australia.
I will.
And hopefully,
thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm going to say, I hope everybody, before they, on my side, East Coast, United States, you know, takes a beautiful deep breath. And exhale nice and long, and just
try for about 5 or 6 if you can, because one's not enough.
Like a slow count, and not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because that's just a nice slow one, you know, 5 or 6, and then pause, and then another 6 to exhale, and then do that a few times, right, Michelle? And then at least,
for sure.
If anything else, you may just feel a little bit more relaxed and stuff. Yes. Oh, look, we're having so many people jump on right now.
We are. Caroline, hi.
Oh, Caroline is here. Hi.
And Karen, hi, Karen.
Oh, I didn't see Karen. Hi. We're just about to wrap up. But
finishing
amazing time, and I'll be posting it so you guys can watch it on my feed, and I also will send it to Michelle, so she'll have it, so you guys can watch it, and it'll be on YouTube as well. I have my YouTube channel, so all right.
Oh yes, great. Thank you, Anna.
Thank you. Have a great night.
You too.
Good to see you. Bye.
You too. Bye now.